I'm feeling blessed. The skies have opened. I feel like shift is amongst me and like I'm taking it in right now. My name is Ilias Katsopukidis, pronounced Kotsamboikidis. I have a vision that I received mid last year as a gold medalist in Olympic recurve archery. I started my archery journey by getting a spiritual name maybe even a decade ago, and it was Archer of the Night. Now, I wasn't an archer at the time, so I was shrouded with a deep sense of mystery about why I'm called the Archer. So we were in the sweat lodge, and the image that was depicted from my teacher was of me standing on top of a cliff with a full moon rising behind me like a silhouette, pulling back at full draw with a bow. There's a lot of mystery around that for me, but I gladly took the name on. Another event worth mentioning is that I had a life-altering event in the mines, which led to being comatized in a mining accident. Yeah, just remember waking up in a hospital with that recollection of my life missing. But I've got to say, like, when I review what it was like in my head, there was relief, there was gratitude, there was like, oh wow, I get another crack at this sort of feeling. And when I went down that same shaft again, an energetic shift happened where I remember regaining more energy than I had before the event. But I remember there was another level of elation, of feeling that grace and that love of spirit, or that interconnectedness of life force was definitely flowing through me afterwards. Yeah, I feel like I have started to embody the mystery of that name with this journey towards this Olympic vision that I have. I'm only in the sport like a year and a half, so I'm considered a kindergarten kid to most archers, and I just also know that I have this focus and discipline that I've learned through yoga and various other disciplines in my life that are helping me to propel through these barriers, through these mental challenges, through the physicalities, through the technique and the structure, that I just feel confident that we're on track. My desire is to wake up and enjoy the fruits of this life. And what I found has been to do so with like a childlike curiosity. So when I wake up each day and I take in a breath, I am grateful. It's helping me to focus my attention so that when I am here, I am completely here with the person, with this process, really taking in the faith and the trust and the flow state necessary to be able to shoot these arrows, which, if you look how far 70 meters is, and you look at that little ring that's in the center there, and the odds of hitting that shot to shot, moment to moment, they're pretty high. The major challenge I found with Olympic recurve archery is that it is not a funded program by the Australian government or the Australian Institute of Sport. So I will state that the major challenge here is finances, because without that, none of this will happen, full stop. I could sit here, shoot hundreds of arrows a day, but if there's no clear pathway to fund it, what I will say is that I'm grateful that I feel the support of spirit. There are definitely a lot of obstacles between me and Olympic gold, and all I can say is that I have this vision that pops up in my mind that's clear as daylight, helping me to keep at it and keep learning and keep evolving and becoming a better human being, regardless of what scores I get in my archery. So my motivation's high, and there are definitely moments where I hit walls and I get moments where I'm like, what am I doing? And geez, this is so friggin' tough. And it's going up to these points and having breakthroughs and having a coach and having mentors that helps me to regain my renewed discipline and motivation day to day, moment to moment. This is Jared, and he runs a brand called Rogue Archery. So I gave Coach Jared a call and I remember the first sentence he asked me was, oh, so what's your intent with archery? And I go, funny you say that. I want to be an Olympic gold medalist. And he's like, how long you been shooting? Oh, maybe 6 months. He's like, huh, okay, well, we've got a bit of work to do. And I think what he was preempting was like Olympic medalist for like 2028 or 2032. So when I said Paris 24, he was like, oh wow, well then we've got a hell of a lot of work to do. So he just said that if this is true for you, that we're going to have to do unprecedented amount of miracles and work together to be able to make this thing work.
I believe he can do it. He has the right mindset, the right ability, but the biggest challenge for him is going to be to demonstrate the ability and experience to be able to actually get selected on teams.
So I have a coach who's younger than me that I'm inspired to take learnings and teachings from, because we're a good fit for each other. Coach Jared, I mean, I think it's important to recognize he may not be my only coach, but he's definitely a good fit for me right now, and we're on track. And I think that he's got a lot to offer, not just me, but to the world and the discipline of archery. And I think that that's what we're both here to do. So my determination at this point is just to put in the mat hours, getting on the range as much as possible, day to day, putting in the work. Because we don't have a training center like other countries in the world, here we're kind of in Mullumbimby winging it a bit. So at this stage of my archery journey, the next step for Ilias is to score some scores that put me on the radar for Australian team selection, and namely 640 out of a 720. So in archery, it's a WA 70 720. That refers to 70 meters and a 720 maximum potential score. That means 10 points per 72 arrows, 720. There's only a few people in the world who can shoot 700s, but let's just aim high, right? But the next step is 640. That gets me on Australian selection possibilities, which get me closer and closer towards international competition levels. And I look at my journey as it's me versus me, Ilias versus Ilias. When he's on the line shooting arrow to arrow, that's all that really exists. To name my fears going into this is that somewhere in all these obstacles, the wheels falls off the bus. It's kind of like there's say 20 obstacles, and if any of those falls out between now and Paris, pretty much it's like either next Olympic cycle or give up on this vision.
To be realistic, he's over 40 years old, and so that brings a whole bunch of challenges. And it's not only his physical ability or his talent that comes into it, it's also his ability to structure his training balance with his life.
And what archery has shown me is that it's not so much about feel. It's like there is the technique, and it is the technique. There's a 10-step process here. My coach will say, get out of your head, have the faith that you've got this. Have the timing come into play. Let it all flow in the sequence that your body already knows, and link up your subconscious mind. So I'm currently in the transition of feeling things and making sure that it's all in place before I take the shot. There is I would say a majority mental game here that is a challenge to overcome, and to be able to consistently go into that place of trust, faith, flow, technique, structure, timing, and keep doing it consistently, regardless if things are feeling different, fatigue has set in, the wind has changed. When I review on the why Ilias is doing this, I think it's to become a better person. I think it's to go through obstacles that seem impossible, and I get to learn. I get to adapt. I get to grow. I get to confront things that are just things that I wouldn't if I sat and just drank tea in my really comfy home. And it's the hunger of the unknown. It's getting out there in life. It's like I want to be out there active, pursuing my goals, my vision, so that I'm able to bring about positive change. I'm shooting literally 300 to 400 arrows a day sometimes, and just the ability to do that much focus is helping me to have the ability to have the energy for it, to rest better, to look after my diet, to include spiritual ceremony in my intending process, and to have fun. I think this is not talked about enough, is to enjoy it. This is not a hard thing to get up and shoot hundreds of arrows. I go for every arrow with like a curious little child, I think, is my attitude towards it. I think that's what I'm learning about life. It's bringing myself back to presence, getting myself out of past guilt and future fear to really be here now and enjoy this life while I have it in this body and in this form, because it's a fleeting moment and then we pass. And I think that as humans, maybe we've gotten comfortable, and I want to find out what we're really here for. But in that process, there are hundreds of things to focus on. And I think that that aspect of whatever's learned in archery transpires into day-to-day life, and day-to-day life transpires into archery. And those things is what I feel are the gifts of the discipline of this sport coming together. And so these are the things that I think are important. Day to day, to recognize that we're here for a fleeting amount of time. Let's enjoy it while we have this life.